Hey, everybody. It's Thursday, which means it is MFSN time for our weekly show. Typically, we do strategy on Thursdays, but today we're mixing it up. We had to miss our waiver wire show on Tuesday. So we're going to give you a quick show of waiver wire pickups today. I'm joined not only by Ross, who I'm always joined by, but we are blessed with Daniel. Dr. Daniel Ratner is here with us today, too. Dan, it's nice to see you here on the Waiver Wire Show.
Thanks, Case. It's a great pleasure to be here on the Waiver Wire Show. It's been a while, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys recommend and giving my recommendations as well.
Great. And Ross, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm here in La, California, and it is sunny and 75 degrees. You couldn't ask for better weather. But guys, look at the DL, what's going on in Major League Baseball. Everybody's hurting. It's like I've never seen a list like this in my life. That's why you need us to tell you to pick up, because there's a lot of stuff going on. And newsflash, Casey, I know you love this guy. Byron Buxton is back on protocol for a concussion.
Oh, was it because of the diving catch he made yesterday? He made a heck of a diving.
No, it was today.
He ran into
today?
Yeah, he ran into their shortstop,
Carlos
Correa.
Oh, well,
they're both
on protocol, but it's shocking news because, as we all know, Buxton is it never gets hurt, right, Case?
Well, the bad side for that is the Twins have won. I think it won 10 games in a row or 11 games in a row coming into it. So they were like the hottest team. If the playoffs started today, there'd be 4 teams from the AL Central in the playoffs.
4, including the Guardians.
The Guardians, the Royals, the Twins, and the Tigers.
That's insane.
The Guardians, Dr. Dan
It would just be the Yankees and the Mariners and the other one. So it is an interesting time for baseball. All right, let's spend 10 or 15 minutes here real quick. Let's just give some of the big names that we think are the priority ads coming into this week. We don't want to dilute the water by naming 30 guys. So each of you give me your top 2 or 3 people who you think we should, the viewers should look at as in terms of strengthening the roster. Ross, why don't you go first?
There's this guy in New York that plays for the Yankees named Aaron Judge. Do you guys know who he is?
I've heard of him.
Well, he's not available. He's owned in 99.
What a tease.
The tease. You know who's playing great? And we talked about him years ago, like back in the day, is Javier Baez of Detroit. He's batting like over 300. He's getting all these game-winning hits. He's hitting home runs. I mean, he's the guy that they wanted originally in Detroit when they signed him for all that money. Now he's playing like it. And Yahoo, last time I checked, he was like 57% owned. So it could be over. I don't know.
He's up to 64 now. So I think he finally has crested.
But again, I just want to give him a shout out. This Javier Baez. Another guy that for some reason, I don't know why he's not tracking it for more percentages. And he's tearing it up. I mean, this guy is awesome. And he plays for another Yankee who I can't stand is Trent Grisham. I don't understand why KC. He's only in the 45%, 44%. We're going to say he's like 80% now. But why isn't he? I mean, look at his numbers and tell me why he's not like tracking higher. I just don't get it.
Because his OPS and on-base percentage and slugging percentage for the last 3 years prior to this year has never been above like 605. And so he's been the last 3 years, he's just been a well below, almost 100 points below league average player. And this year, obviously, he's crushing it. So as a Yankees fan, I'm grateful, but I just don't think fantasy owners trust him to keep it up. And you don't want to buy somebody on the tail end of a hot streak. You want to get him early on. And so
I understand, but
if he is, I mean, look, it's worth a speculative ad if it's not going to cost you much of your free agent budget and put him on your bench, because if it continues, you play him. But I think that's why his numbers are slow to develop.
Let me just add, though, I mean, he's only 28 years old, and he was a good prospect coming up. So I do think he's worth an ad. 48%. It obviously depends on the league and how.
I believe he was our cover boy
are.
Last week. So,
well, there you go.
And I went to the Dodger game last night and 2 nights ago, and I saw Nick Kurtz at first base for almost said the O word, but I didn't say it, for the Sacramento Athletics. This guy's like 6'6", looks like a linebacker. This guy is huge. This guy has so much potential. I just love him because how he's built. I mean, this guy's built like a beast. I mean, Casey, I know he's not like tearing up right now in the American League, but do you think there's a future with Nick Kurtz?
In redraft leagues, I'm still a little hesitant to take him. Obviously, in dynasty and keeper leagues, if he's not 99% owned in those, I'll be shocked. But those taller, kind of bigger strike zone players take a little longer to develop. If you remember, Aaron Judge was pretty inconsistent for the first couple of years. Giancarlo Stanton took a couple of years to get hot. Richie Sexton, to go way back in the day, struggled a bit as a taller player. So I just think I'm worried it's going to take him longer to figure it out, because major league pitchers are very quick to figure out where the hole is in your swing. And when your strike zone is that big, they can exploit it for a while until he adjusts. So,
and he's only 22 years old. So
right. I mean, the guy's a stud. I'm excited for Sacramento/Las Vegas's future with him as their first baseman. But I'm a little more hesitant to add him in redraft leagues this year.
I also think, another reason I think numbers are sometimes depressed in terms of the rostering is a lot of people are already checking out. Like in the middle of May, there's a lot of players who just kind of lose interest quickly. So, I look at a player like Jonathan Aranda. We've talked about him before, but he's got the second base eligibility. First base turned out to be deeper than we expected, but second base is still quite shallow. And this guy over the last 2 weeks is hitting .441 with 5 runs, 2 homers, 7 RBIs. He's 57% rostered in Yahoo leagues. I think you want to scoop him up. Another guy that I think is, trending up, and I've been waiting for him to break out, is Josh Jung.
Yeah.
Everybody Wang Jung tonight.
Everybody. Yes.
Love
so those are 2 recommendations. The one other I'll put in there is Ivan Herrera. If you're looking for catcher help.
Yep.
I think this guy can really help a lot of teams. And it's interesting. You look at him and Carson Kelly, and they have similar rostership, but Carson Kelly to me is on the way down, and Ivan Herrera is on the way up.
Good call. I like that.
Those are good pickups. How about on the pitching side? Do you guys have any pitchers you want us to consider for this weekend?
He's been pitching really well for the Reds is Nick Martinez. I know he's a journeyman. I get it. I understand. But he's been pitching pretty well for Cincinnati the past few starts. I like Nick Martinez. And he was our cover guy last week. I like Hoglund. He pitched at Dodger Stadium. He pitched 6 innings, had six strikeouts, I think, against the Dodgers. Gave up 3 runs. I mean, I like this kid. I really think he's the real deal. I'm excited. I'm excited for the Athletics. I think they have a young, good team. I mean, they're a team to be reckoned with. I don't think they'll do it this year, but I think down the road, Casey and Dan, I think they're a team that definitely when Vegas is set up in 3 years from now, I think they'll be ready for the playoffs. I really did playoffs. But I really feel that that's a team that it's built to be like a good team 3 years from now.
Yeah, they're exciting. Case, I'll mention a couple, and then we should get some word from you as well. One that I don't understand in terms of the rostership is Luke Weaver. He's at 60%.
Yeah,
I think that's the number we usually stick to, but he's now closing games.
Yeah,
and so I think that's one of the reasons his rostership is as low as it is that most leagues aren't hold leagues where that's where his value comes from a lot of the time. But now he's closing games, so you got to get him in there. And then 3 starting pitchers I wanted to mention. One is AJ Smith-Shawver, loaded with talent. I love AJ Smith-Shawver. You don't know him?
Atlanta Braves.
I'm teasing. It's a joke.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I know. 0.66 ERA, 0.88 WHIP over the last 2 weeks. I tend to look at 2 weeks as like my model of looking at, how useful is this player likely to be?
How's the strikeouts to innings? That's what you look at.
Well, there's always that. I will also mention Ronel Blanco.
Yeah.
He somehow has fallen, he had a little bit of a rough start to the season, but he was great last year on a very good team. As far as I'm concerned, the Astros, they're not as good as they once were, but he's a really good addition. And then another underrated pitcher is Merrill Kelly. He's been doing it for a while now. So, and these are guys that are kind of those mid rostership numbers in the 50s and stuff. And I think you scoop them up. They're great. They're great back end starters. And Luke Weaver would be my recommendation as a reliever.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think those are smart picks. Merrill Kelly doesn't quite fit your strikeout profile. He's like a 7 Ks per 9 type. So that's probably what keeps his rostership low. I agree with Ronel Blanco. He's been outstanding the last 2 to 3 weeks. Merrill Kelly, Andrew Abbott in Cincinnati has been pitching great, and Eric Fetty. Speaking of streaking teams, the Cardinals have been playing great, and Eric Fetty is a pitcher right in the middle of it. Again, I think there's questions about whether he can keep it up, but as everybody knows who watches the show, I have to throw some prospects out there when it comes to the waiver wire.
Let me just give you a couple more pitchers.
Okay.
Michael Waka. He pitches now in Kansas City. He's actually like 20% owned, and his stats for 2025 is ERA 2.98, and his strikeouts 2 innings isn't up to standard.
That's where he hurts you.
He hurts you a little bit, but he's pitching well. Kansas City is a hot team. Another person who has not made his major league start yet. There's 2. One's pitching Saturday here in Los Angeles. His name is Clayton Kershaw. Ever heard of him?
Oh, yes,
I have.
Okay, just make sure. Another joke.
It didn't go over our heads. It just didn't land.
Okay. They're in LA, they're renaming 17th or whatever day he pitches on, like Clayton Kershaw Day, because he's pitching it. It's a huge deal in Los Angeles. I don't know why. It's sold out. They're charging a fortune for tickets here. And everybody's excited to watch Clayton Kershaw pitch for the first time in a long time. And another guy in Florida, I know we don't talk about the Marlins that much, but I do like their youth movement there, is Ryan Weathers. He has not made his debut yet, but for the season. But I do like this young guy. In case you can mention him when we're talking about your youth and young player movement.
You know what? I'm going to mention one more. This will make me sound like a homer, which I know how to not be a homer when making recommendations. But he's a Cleveland player. But Gavin Williams was a very high prospect, and he's striking out a lot of guys. His whip isn't great lately, but I think Gavin Williams is a very good speculative ad right now.
Not Gavin McLeod, but Gavin Williams you're talking about?
Gavin Williams, yes.
Okay.
We have a question. Iwi, welcome to the show. Iwi, I don't know. 2K, better to add in category league, Nootbaar or Stowers? Stowers is the outfielder from the Marlins. He's Nootbaar is the outfielder for the Cardinals.
And he's from Denmark, right, Casey? Is he from Denmark? Is that where Nootbaar
actually played for Japan in the
I know
World
that.
Baseball.
I remember that big deal.
All of the jokes.
Yeah, but
not jokes. These are real things. He really did play for Japan.
No, I'm not saying that was the joke.
But I would personally, for me, I trust Nootbaar better because he's been a regular for the Cardinals for a couple years now. He bats in a better spot in the lineup. Stowers is crushing the ball. His exit velo, his barrel rate is good. He's getting a lot of home runs. I don't know whether or not I trust him as much. Nootbaar probably will be better for runs and maybe even get a couple stolen bases. Neither of them are speed merchants. No. I think Stowers is more of your power guy.
And I think Stowers, Casey, has a higher ceiling. Do you agree? I think his potential has not been reached yet. And again, in Florida, he does platoon a little bit. He doesn't play every day. But if you want to, you just got to watch with Stowers. You got to make sure he's starting that day.
I guess it depends.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it depends what your team is looking for. If
That's right.
You talk about categories, what category is it you need? If you're not as worried about batting average, I'd probably go Stowers. If you just want power, I would probably go Stowers. The other 3 offensive categories, I'd probably lean Nootbaar.
Yeah, it also just depends on, like, are you looking for like a solid 4th outfielder to carry for the year, or are you looking for the boomer bust?
Yeah, I mean, lottery ticket.
Exactly.
So, okay, guys, that's actually a lot more names than I think I was prepared for. But I'm going to name a couple prospects. One was called up 2 days ago, and I think the other one was called up yesterday. The first is for and they're both catchers, by the way. So if you're in a 2-catcher league,
I can name one of them.
These are mandatory pickups. If you're in a single catcher league, I think they're ones to keep an eye on and pick up if
Does one of them play for the Dodgers, Casey? Yes or no?
One of them does, but he also qualifies in the outfield.
Okay.
And he played some first base in the minors, so maybe he'll get some first base. But the problem with the Dodgers is Will Smith is behind the plate. Freddie Freeman's at first. So we're talking about Dalton Rushing, who's probably, in terms of ceiling, probably has top 5 potential at the catching position in terms of fantasy ceiling. Power, batter's eye, can do it all. Not a runner, but no catcher really is. The question is going to be playing time for him. He'll get some time while Teoscar Hernandez is on the injured list. If he's raking when he comes back, they'll probably find room for him, but otherwise he might be destined for a part-time job. The other is Moises Ballesteros in Chicago. This guy for the Cubs was raking in the minor leagues. There wasn't much for him to prove, and so they're giving him a shot. My understanding is they're trying Matt Bush over at third base so that Ballesteros might be getting some time at first base as well, so he could get eligibility there. That's where Carson Kelly is, who Dan mentioned earlier. Carson Kelly seems to produce full-time numbers in a part-time position with his role, but who knows how long that is, because this isn't a guy with a pedigree for being a stud. So those are two prospects. We can name the other ones. They're obvious. Roman Anthony has nothing left to prove in the minors. Unfortunately, there's really no space for him. The same with Marcelo Meyer, both for the Red Sox. Meyer is batting .282 with 8 home runs in the minors right now, and Anthony's batting .306, 5 home runs, 3 stolen bases. So those guys are crushing it. And then there's Jacques Caglianone for the Royals. Not that Vinny Pasquantino hasn't been what he's always been, which is more of an average RBI guy than a power guy. But Caglianone is just like a monster, like 9 home runs already in 138 at bats and 950 OPS. He would probably have the biggest impact on his team if he got called up right now. I just don't know if there's a path for him to get called up. Anybody else we didn't mention, guys?
No,
we gave a lot of names. We should always, we're going to have missed some people, of course. But
if you had to add one to stash, Ballesteros, Rushing, or Ramirez, who is it? For me, it's the Marlins, Augustin Ramirez, because I think Rushing is the most likely to be sent back down once Teoscar Hernandez comes back.
And remember, Tommy Edmonds hurt too, Casey.
Tommy Edmonds hurt. Pages, however
you got it right,
is crushing it. So he's not going anywhere in that outfield. So I don't know if there's playing time for him. Ballesteros came out of nowhere to be this good. And if he gets cold, I don't think he has that long leash. Whereas Ramirez, they're leaving up, and he has both power and speed. And so if I had to stash one, that's probably the guy who I would stash. What were we saying before the question? I apologize.
I was just saying, we're always going to miss some players, and there's deep cuts, of course, but we'd like to give a kind of well-rounded estimation of the guys that you should be targeting. You can comb through your wires, see if the guys we mentioned are there, and we'll push for a deeper dive if you guys need it. Just let us know.
Yeah, and this is the season when people start dropping like really good players, and this is like, after May 15th, that's when people get desperate and they say, you know what, I gotta make trades, or I gotta make some changes.
Or they just get so sick. They go so sick of players, and in a redraft league, they're like, oh, just get rid of him. So pay attention.
And it's also a good time to start looking at trades, because those people at the bottom of the division, bottom of the league right now are desperate, and you can probably make those 2-for-1, 3-for-1 trades and take one of their better or best players and give them 3 of your pretty good players so that you can improve your team. And then you use the waiver wire to supplement the roster. So guys, thanks for today. You gave some great ideas. Ross and I will be back again on Tuesday for another quick waiver wire show. And then on Thursdays, we might start to mix things up. We'll fill you in more on that as we go. But please tune in 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific on Tuesday. We'll take a look at the waiver wire again, give you some great news. And as always, click the like button if you like what you hear. Ring for notifications so that you can find out what's new and coming from us. And as always, feel free to ask questions in the comments. We love to interact with you guys. Other than that, have a great weekend. I hope the weather cooperates for you better than it is for us here on the East Coast. And may your fantasy teams be successful. Guys, thanks for a great show, and we'll see you.